Hi, this is Steve Shepard. Today we're going to be talking about SEO for 2014 and the way it works. Basically, when you're looking at SEO, there's 5 rules that you must always follow in order to rank your website highly. First of all, your website should be relevant. Your website should be authoritative, should be localized, should be popular, and very importantly, no spam. Now, let me explain what I mean by those 5 things. Firstly, making your site relevant. To make your site relevant, there's a number of things you can do, most of them on the page. So these are changes you make to your website in the build of it. You want to have keywords in your title and text. Now, you want to have a proper keyword density and good meta descriptions. In the past, Google had used meta descriptions and meta keywords to rank your site, but because of the actions of some SEO professionals, they stopped doing that. However, it's important when Google indexes your site that they're able to tell what your site's about and who it's of interest to, so they can show it on the right searches. So you want to make sure and have a good keyword density and try to write those meta descriptions for humans to read. Don't pack them full of repetitive keywords. Just describe your site just like you would describe it to someone you wanted to see your site. Now, in the body text, you want to make sure that you have phrases that describe the content. If you're a wedding planner, you want to mention that you are a wedding planner, where you are, what you do. If you're a photographer, you want to talk about the pictures you've taken, but you want to also mention that you are a photographer in the area that you're in. You should include searches that you expect the searchers to use. Now, that's very important. Think about what you would type into Google if you were searching for what you do, and then try to include those types of phrases in the actual body text. It's one of the things Google will look for to return you on specific searches. You also want to have well-organized content. Now, to Google, one page on a website is only about one thing. So if you are trying to talk about 2 things on one page, Google will say, well, this page isn't really about the one thing. It's about 2 things that you're talking about. For instance, if you sold shoes and you had tennis shoes and dress shoes on the same page, Google would say, well, this page isn't really about tennis shoes, and it's not really about dress shoes. It's only about half about tennis shoes and half about dress shoes. So you wouldn't rank well for either phrase. So it's very important when you have different ideas, different products, different services, different keywords that you're targeting, you want to try and separate that out into another page, just to make it well organized. Now, making your site authoritative, that's a little bit more what we do off the page. It's pretty hard to you can't really make your site authoritative by making changes to it. Sites have authority when other sites with authority link to them. Now, what this means, if you are a photographer, then sites that have authority and rank well for photography phrases, those are the kind of links you want to get. You don't want to get spammy links. You don't want to get links from sites that don't really relate to you, and you definitely don't want to have links from weak sites. Links from sites with a lot of links out, links from sites with duplicate content. Google can penalize you for that. Links are given credit by the search engines when they have a natural link profile. In other words, this is the kind of link profile you would expect if you were just if you're popular and people are talking about you and talking about your site. Like I said, links from sites that aren't related to what you do are not natural. They don't have to be the same thing as what you do. For instance, a wedding planner, would naturally have links to sites from wedding photographers, possibly sites from caterers, wedding venues, those type of sites. It would be natural for you to interlink and back and forth. Links from unrelated sites that do not have some variety in the anchor text may be considered unnatural by Google. Now, if Google finds that you have an unnatural link profile, they'll actually penalize you, and you'll actually fall off of Google. They can actually pull your entire site from the index, and you definitely don't want that to happen. Now, what is a natural links profile? As I said, links from authoritative and relevant sites. And also, this is something new for 2013, 2014. It's very important that they have similar but not cloned anchor text. Now, you may see some sites that they have plugins where they put a link in the footer of your site, and it's always the same anchor text. And Google's been looking at those and saying, you know, these aren't very high quality links, so I think we're not going to give them much credit. And that's kind of the first step that Google takes when they say they're not going to give something much credit. That's kind of the first step they take. And the second step they take is to say, well, not only are we not going to give this credit, but we're actually going to penalize people who have these kind of links. So the type of links, for instance, if you had a website about rockets, these are the type of links you'd want to have. You'd want to have other sites that are about rockets and space travel linking to your site, and you'd want to have anchor text. In other words, the text that people actually click on to go to your site, you want that to be related to your site but not the same. So over here we have rockets as the anchor text, and that's good. Space travel here is the anchor text, rocket as the anchor text here, and rocket ships as the anchor text here. All the same general idea, but all sort of somewhat different. If all of these said rocket, or if all of these sites were not rocket related, then that could actually harm your SEO and harm the placement of your website. Now let's take a look at making your site localized. Okay, Google prefers sites that are local to the searcher. They said at the end of 2012 that they considered 85% of the searches to have local intent. Now, what's local intent mean? To Google, local intent means that the searcher wants to see a map, or they want to go somewhere, they want to see something local to where they're at. So this is great news for small businesses. If you've got some huge competitor that's 2 states away, you'll actually be able to get in front of clients in your state, whereas before you may not have been able to. So it's really going to help local businesses to really get some exposure and to compete with the large corporate interest. So Google prefers sites that are local to the searcher, and Google uses a combination of signals to determine where your business is. The first thing that they use, your contact page. The information on your contact page, from what we can tell, it looks like it accounts for about 10% of the signal that Google uses to determine where you're actually at. Local links, Google uses to determine. Now, what is a local link? A local link would be something like, let's say you're in Portland, and you have links from the Portland YMCA, the Portland School District, the City of Portland, the Portland Chamber of Commerce. Those are what's known as hyperlocal links, because they're businesses or organizations that Google knows must be local to that area. And when they're linking to your site, it gives a very powerful local signal. So just a few links there can account for about 25% of your local signal. Local citations, now those account for another approximately 25% if you do enough of them. Now, what's a local citation? A local citation is a link to your site that has your name, your address, your business name, your address, and your phone number. So something like the Yellow Pages would be a local link, local citation. Something like Yelp, something like Manta, anything that tells searchers exactly where you're at, what your phone number is, what your place of business is, that would be considered a local citation. Now, your Google local page actually accounts for about 40% of your local signal. So it's very important to claim your map page and to make sure that the information on it is accurate, because this is what Google's using to determine where you're at. Now, if you have things that are in conflict, for instance, let's say you had a Google local page. Let's say you had a Google local page for Delaware, and you had some local links, but the local links were from Portland, the Portland Chamber of Commerce, for instance. These would actually conflict with each other, and the local links would take away from the authority of your Google page. You'd end up with less local signal, and the less local signal you have, the worse you'll rank versus sites with higher local signal. So it's very important to have all these elements: your contact page, your local links, your local citations, and your Google local page. You want them to all point to the same place. Now, making your site popular, this is very big right now, and it's going to get a lot bigger. Currently, Google's looking at the reviews that you have. They are talking about making all the reviews from everywhere part of your popularity signal. So in the future, most likely links from Yelp, links from City Search, links from Foursquare, or excuse me, not links, reviews from Foursquare, reviews, likes on Facebook, followers on Twitter. Those kind of things in the future will probably be very strong popularity signals for your site. But currently, Google's stance is that the only reviews that they can trust are the reviews on your Google Plus page. So they give them an inordinate amount of weight. Maybe it's just coincidence that they say that the property they own is the best property to have reviews on, but it's Google, they own the show, so that's what they're doing. So the important thing to making your site popular is you can get some of the signal from LinkedIn, from your YouTube channel, from Yelp, from Pinterest, from Yahoo Local, from WordPress blogs, Facebook, Twitter. You can get some of the credit for that popularity, who's following you, who's liked you, who's giving you a thumbs up, if you point all of these at your Google Plus page and then point your Google Plus page at your website. Once you do this linking here, your website's going to get credit for the popularity of your Google Plus page. So it's very important to remember to place that Google Plus squarely where Google says it should be, right in between all of your signal and your site. All right. Now let's talk about the fifth item, avoiding spam. Very important. Google penalizes spam. Now, if you have spam, they're not just going to say, well, we'll take this off and ignore it. Google says, well, if you've got spam here, you've probably got some other things that you've done that we're not going to give you the full credit for, so we're going to penalize you. Now, what's spam mean? There's different variations of spam. Here's a few of the most popular ones. Keyword stuffing. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Using keywords in a repetitive, unnatural manner. So if I say that I'm a Honolulu wedding photographer that takes wedding photos in Honolulu, on Oahu, in Hawaii, and I do photography for weddings and wedding receptions and wedding events and photography for wedding couples, obviously that's repetitive and unnatural, and Google's search engine is smart enough to figure out that's not how humans talk. So it's very important to keep everything on your site. Write your site, write that text for humans. Google appreciates it. Every year, every month even, their search engines get a little better at detecting this unnatural, repetitive manner of speaking and applying penalties to it. Another way to another way to spam your site is link spamming. Link spamming is going out and getting a lot of links from low quality or irrelevant sites. So if you have a business that you're getting links from sites that have nothing to do with you, they're not local. If you're getting links from sites in different countries that are different industries that are not related to you, or just links from sites that have a lot of outbound links, that are trading links, that are your purchasing links, that they're basically portal sites where they're just nothing but links. Google will penalize you to the point of actually kicking you off Google, and that's not something you want to happen, because once you get kicked off Google, it's quite a bit of work to get you back on. Okay. Another spam technique to avoid is duplicate content. Okay, now it's very easy to copy content from existing sites. It's very easy to say, well, gee, this article is well written and it's very interesting, so I'm just going to copy this text and I'm going to paste it on my site, and people can look at it here. Google actually searches for that, and when they detect duplicate content, they know a certain amount of this is going to happen, and there's a certain amount that's normal. But this is not a game to play. If you've got duplicate content on your site, get it off. Rewrite articles or delete articles that are found on other sites, because when Google finds that you have duplicate content, they'll take your site off of the index. They don't play around with that. They're not going to move you down a couple places. They're going to take you off for your keywords. Okay. Now, intralinking. This is a spam technique that is kind of interesting. It's very similar to what good SEO is. Good SEO is having links from other sites that are related to yours, that are similar to yours, that are inbound links to your site. Now that's good. Interlinking is a different thing. Interlinking is adding links within your site, or between related sites, and by related that means sites that you own, or that you've joined with to create links. So if you have site A over here and it has 20 links to site B, and site B over here has 20 links to site A, Google will detect that. They'll see it's unnatural, and they'll see it's a link building scam, and they'll pull you from the rankings. Also, another thing that happens, and this is often done unintentionally. Let's say you have a site where you have a home page and about, a products page and a contact page. So on your home page you have links to all your pages. On your about page you have links to all your pages, and then on your products page you have 20 products, and each of these 20 products has a link to the home page, has a link to the about page, has a link to the contact page. What you're going to end up with is a lot of links to your contact page, to your home page, to your about page, that are going to be unnatural in nature, and Google will see that, even if it's totally inadvertent, and it's very easy to do accidentally, especially with sites that are dynamic, sites that put menus on each page. You want to be really careful about how your link structure looks, because a good link structure will look like this. You'll have your main page, and then subpages here, here, and here, and then tertiary pages here, 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 here. And this is a good link structure. Even if you're linking between here, this is okay. This is what's called the pyramid link structure, and this is really the structure you want to have for your site. It resembles a pyramid. What you don't want to have is something like this, where you have your main page, your secondary pages here, your tertiary pages here, and you have too many links in between. If each of your tertiary pages is linking to every other page, it doesn't take very many levels to your site before you've got far too many links. And Google's going to look at something like this right here, this center page and say, well, this has way too many links to it. That's not right.